for national anthem. Assalamu alaikum, myself Noor Fatma. Now Dr. Yaqub Khan Bangish is the historian of modern South Asia. His current research interests lie in the emergence of Pakistan as a post-colonial state. With broader interest of discolonization, interest, modern state of formation, formation of identities, as the emergence of ethnic and identify-based. Okay. Okay. I would like to invite him on stage. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum ji, and welcome to our 7th edition of the ThinkFest. Thank you very much for joining us on a very cold, but I hope soon to be sunny morning and afternoon here. Just want to take a couple of minutes to say a few words before introducing our keynote panel. Do want to welcome all our delegates who have come all the way from the US, France, Germany, the UK, Portugal, Singapore, and especially, of course, India. It's always a hassle to get guests from India, but I'm very thankful and grateful that the government did allow our India delegates to come in, and we really look forward to hearing from them. Just want to take a minute to explain about our theme today, that you can see Winter of Discontent. Now, why did we pick that? We picked that because, as you can see around the world, things are in a lot of disarray and confusion. And this phrase has been picked from Richard III, a play by William Shakespeare. And the idea is to give the image of how things are troubled in the world with wars, with carnage, with civil and religious strife, with polarization, increased polarization around the world. So we wanted to highlight those issues, and not just highlight them, but using our tagline, come think in question about these issues so that we may understand them, because without understanding them, we won't be able to resolve them. We won't be able to engage with them. So if you look closely at our logo here for this year, and also the banners which are being put up outside, you will see pictures of protests, from major protests around the world. You see a protest from Palestine, from the US, from Australia, and also from India. And then, of course, there are also pictures of Gaza there. So we are remembering all those people who are suffering from these things today, and are striving that we might not just talk about them, but understand them and support them in any way we can. The ThinkFest, as you know, is a very distinctive kind of a literary festival. We don't really do fiction to that level because there are other very good festivals doing it. So we focus on academic and policy, and I'm very glad that our opening panel today is about policy slashed with academia, so that we might be able to think about it. So our real strengths are academic and policy. We are also multilingual. We don't have one language that we speak in. Of course, I'm speaking in English at this time, but people are free to speak in any language. We have panels in Urdu, Punjabi, and even one where a lot of Pashto will be used. So we are very multilingual, and we want to encourage all languages in equal measure. We also pride ourselves in being actually the only festival in Pakistan, that I know at least, where there are no barriers. There is no separate speakers lounge, so speakers have to mingle with everyone, have to talk to everyone, because that is where the real conversation at times happens. The conversation you're going to hear today is going to be recorded and put on YouTube, so you can hear all of this afterwards too. But the real conversations you might have is with all of our speakers as they walk out, as they have a coffee, and as you talk to them and new ideas come up. And that is the real incubation space that we really want to work on, and we really want to kind of emphasize. So there are no VIPs here, there are no special people here, everyone is equal, and this equality we really, really want to cherish. So we are very glad that you are part of this journey with us. I should just mention right at the end that, I always do say this at every ThinkFest, that the idea began when I was at Information Technology University, and then Vice Chancellor Umar Saif sort of really pushed that I should do something big. So we did that, and I always do want to remember him. He would have been here, but he's in Davos today because he's a federal minister, he's leading a delegation there. But I do always want to remember him for that. After that, of course, Dr. Niaz supported us. Then we had a vice chancellor who wasn't interested in such things, but thankfully we now have a vice chancellor who is. So ITU was out and then is back in also. So I'm really grateful for that. I do want to thank all our sponsors. We have a long list, so I'll quickly read that, but that doesn't mean that we don't appreciate them completely. But you just want to quickly read them. Destinations, Daewoo, Sayed Engineers, Coca-Cola, the US Consulate General, of course the government of the Punjab, Goethe Institute, the Embassy of Germany, the French Embassy, the European Union, Bank of Punjab, Alhambra, whose place we are in here and we're very thankful about, SOT Events, BNU, Tehzeeb, National Bank of Pakistan, Avari, United States Educational Foundation, the Wall City Authority, Zora and ZZ Ahmed Foundation, Nestle, Al-Karam, Hilton, Pharma, and of course ITU. So we have a long list, and I should say a lot of people do kind of complain about different sponsors here and there, but my line always is, if someone is doing good, I think we should support them in doing good. No one is perfect. No one does everything that you agree with. I'm sure a lot of our sponsors don't agree with what we do. In the same way, we don't agree with everything what our sponsors does, but that's not the point. Full agreement is never the point, and actually one of the main points of the ThinkFest is to inculcate that. You don't need to like someone if you agree with the person 100%. It's completely fine to disagree, but the most important thing is engagement, and that is really what we want to do here. And I do want to thank our committee here. It's a group led by a number of really good thinkers and intellectuals in Pakistan. We've got Najam Sethi here, who has been our chair for a few years now. Miftah is also on it, Suhail Hussain, Pir Saad Ehsanuddin, and several others. And especially, of course, I want to mention Asma Chishti, who sadly can't be here, but she's been the life of the ThinkFest for a long time. In terms of organization, I just want to thank our founding members here, Abraham and Hadi, who has now become a civil servant. So it's good that people are going places here, but he's back here. And the work continued by Janzeb, Hussain, Modin, and Kamran. Of course, Mr. Kamran has come all the way from Japan for the ThinkFest. So I think that's a great deal. And recently, of course, joined by Khan Shahram. And lastly, of course, I want to thank Khatija Amir and UCP for all the support that they give us. So thank you so much, all of you. Now, I have the great privilege of introducing our keynote panel. We all know them and love them, so therefore I won't take long, just a one-liner. We, of course, are very honored to have the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shahid Khaqan Abbasi here, who turned up well before time. So, now you know another reason why he's not in active politics. Rather than turning up 2 hours late, he's actually turned up before time. And we also have our former finance minister, Dr. Miftah Ismail. And of course, I should say that Jugnu Mohsen, who of course we all know as a former MPA and also a distinguished journalist, she's very unwell, but we're really thankful that she's coming here to do this session, and we wish her speedy recovery. So over to you, Jugnu. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to forgive my hoarse voice and occasional coughing, but that's the way it is these days in Lahore. Now I want to ask first, by asking these gentlemen here, Miftah and Shahid, whether, we can get straight into questions, because you've reimagined Pakistan quite enough in the last year or so when you've been on seminars and things. Would you agree with that, or would you still want to sort of talk about it?
You're moderating it, so whatever you say goes.
Right. Thank you. औरतों की हुक्मरानी कबूल है. Wonderful. सबसे पहले उन्होंने किए. Okay, you've both spoken about reimagining Pakistan over the last year and a bit in seminars, in meetings, on television, on shows, etc. So I'll cut to the chase and ask you to spell out certain things, if I may. As I understand it, this state of Pakistan is constructed along national security rather than social security lines. And the military is the most powerful corporate entity in Pakistan, as we all know, followed by landowners, the bureaucracy, the judiciary, and those who make money but pay little taxes. Yes, Miftah? So these 5 stakeholders are the most entitled people in Pakistan. They take all the surplus of this country with nothing left for the middle, lower middle, and working classes. I hope you'll agree with that. So how do you reimagine a state where the distribution is fair and a country that's fair to its citizens? Broad question, asking for a broad sweep answer. Shahid, would you like to start?
Thank you very much. The answer lies in the Constitution. We have a Constitution, it's a fairly explicit Constitution, and probably one of the most explicit in the world. It defines our relationships, it sets timelines, it sets procedures, how to do things. It even has all the oaths of office as part of the Constitution. It defines the limits of the federation, the limits of the provinces. So, despite that, we feel there's a need for a new social contract today. And I personally feel maybe not a need for a new contract, but serious amendments to this contract based upon what our experience has been in the last 76 years, and especially since 73 when this constitution came into being. I must say here that I think Pakistan needs the parliamentary system. I don't see Pakistan existing in its current shape in any other form of government. I'm a big proponent of this system because of our provincial diversities, of our ethnic diversities. I think this constitution addresses and makes everybody a part of that system. So that is very critical to me, at least, that this parliamentary system stay. But we definitely need a lot of amendments, the relationship with the military. As you said, is it a security state? I don't think so. It was conceived as a social state.
But it's become one, hasn't it, over the years?
It's become, over a period of time, the security imperatives have taken over. So I think that's where we need to go. We need massive reform. Pakistan, in every sphere of its system of governance, in its legal system, in its relationships between the stakeholders in governance, it needs massive reform. And that's why we had the Reimaging platform, where we thought we'd be able to kind of address the issues of the country and look for solutions.
Okay, thank you. So that's a broad answer, and I'll turn to you, Miftah, for something more specific. You've been finance minister. You've doled out large chunks of money to the institution that dominates Pakistan. So what role do you reimagine for the military?
Thank you, Jugnu. So in this 1.5 years that Shahid Abbasi and myself and Mustafa Nawaz Khokar have been doing Reimagining Pakistan, one of the questions that Mustafa asks in every session, and only Mustafa asks, but I will repeat this because Mustafa is not here, and he says we have to answer the central question in Pakistan, the central dilemma that who is supposed to run Pakistan? Is it civilians or the military? That question has not been answered. And as Shahid Abbasi Saab keeps saying,
Nini, that's your, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working, yours is working.
So, as Shahid Abbasi keeps saying, the issue is not so much the Constitution, the issue is not following the Constitution. That institutions, and whoever gets the chance, whether it's politicians, whether it's ulama ikram, whether it's media, whether it's businesses, provincial governments, federal government, whoever gets a chance, they try to not live within the Constitution. Ours is a society or a constitution that has a lot of mistrust. When you write as many clauses in a constitution, that actually means that the people don't trust each other, so they write every possibility. That's why institutions are important around the world, because you cannot write a contingent contract for every possibility. So you have institutions that ensure that when possibilities arise that you were not originally thought of, that you can resolve those differences. We spell out everything, which is probably not a very helpful thing, but nonetheless we spell out everything because we don't trust each other, the provinces don't trust each other, the provincial people don't trust each other, and even today, if you look at it, we don't have a local government, even though the constitution specifies.
We'll come to all that later, if I may interrupt.
I'll come in 1 second to this. So the question is now that nobody works according to the constitution. That is the problem. In terms of the money, I've been a finance minister and I've had the honor of presenting 2 budgets to the National Assembly of Pakistan. And I was asked this question a few days ago on a podcast as well about the Army's role. My issue is never with the Army's budget. The fact of the matter is that Pakistan spends less than $8 billion on the defense of Pakistan. And we are neighbors of India, which spends more than $64 billion. So we spend $1 for every $8 they spend. Given 2 unsettled borders with East and Afghanistan, there is going to be enough money required to run this defense. The issue really is not the army spending money. The issue is, and people talk about the army spending money because the issue really is the army's ingress in politics. This is what we need to resolve, not so much the money that they get.
Right, so Shahid, how will you resolve that issue? How will you get the constitution, as you say, to be obeyed in letter and spirit? How will you put the genie back in the bottle? How will you take away non-productive privileges of certain institutions that are more powerful than others? And I know this is a touchy subject and we keep dancing around it, but we need concrete answers for this. And Miftah said that we spend much less than India does, but then we make much less than India does. And there are many other heads under which expenses are toted up for the military. How do you visualize the constitution being obeyed and institutions being on the same level as each other so that there's a balance? How do you see that?
The deterioration has been gradual. It's been over a long period of time. So the fix is also a process. You can't have a summary fix. You can't have a fix in one day. But you must at least identify the issues. And how do we, in a collaborative style, we move to fix those issues? And this is what most countries have done. So Pakistan also needs a dialogue. And it's the responsibility of the political leadership to create that dialogue. What has happened in Pakistan over the last, 2 decades or 3 decades, the dialogue has deteriorated into a blame game, into trying to assign blame to who did what. But the bottom line is that the whole system has failed. So everybody is to blame. So we need to get out of that and look for solutions.
Yeah, but you've been advocating it, sorry to interrupt you, you've been advocating this grand roundtable dialogue for the last year and a half, 2 years, and there have been no takers. So how do you propose to bring people to the table?
No, so I'm still saying that is the solution. Now you try to get there. You'll have elections. Will the elections generally elections bring new faces and a new start, but I don't think this election will even do that. So there's a dire need to start a process of healing, a process of dialogue, and try to fix the system. And the economy will be the driver today, the major driver today. Like Miftah just mentioned, if you just look at 2018 and what will happen in the coming budget, and Miftah, correct me if I'm wrong, in 2018, the dollar was around 100 rupees, and the debt servicing was 1,500 billion. The defense was 1,700 billion. So $15 billion and $17 billion. This year, the defense will be about 2,500 billion, which is in today's money less than 10 billion. And debt servicing has risen to, probably will go to close to 9,000 billion, which is $30 billion.
We know, we have an idea of these scary statistics, but I want to come back to your original panacea for the ill that besets us. Who do you imagine will sit around this round table that will discuss our issues and move us forward? Who are the stakeholders? Who are the people that you imagine sitting around this table?
The stakeholders. whatever
Let's spell it out.
yeah.
Who are the stakeholders?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The Constitution defines certain stakeholders. We operate at the fringe of the Constitution. There have been practices of how we run government, so we have to live with that reality. So the stakeholders are very obvious. The stakeholders are the political system, the judicial system, the leadership, the political leadership, the judicial leadership, and the military leadership. They are people who affect the system of governance today.
What makes you think that they're listening to you? Because nothing has been done so far.
The
How
numbers,
do you propose to?
the numbers are just put before you.
Okay.
They will drive, if they do not have the sense of urgency today, it will come tomorrow. So it is better to fix the system before you have a collapse than trying to. That is called leadership. Pakistan has had a failure of leadership at the political level, at the judicial level, at the military level. That's why we are here.
But then, okay, so there's a failure of leadership. Here we have on my left and on my right, two leaders who have served at the highest echelons of power in Pakistan. You've both stepped aside. Why have you both stepped aside? Shouldn't you have continued to struggle for this utopia that you want? Should you not have continued to do that instead of giving up and sitting it out?
No. So we've not stepped aside. We've stepped aside from these elections. I do not believe these elections will give you a solution, because you have not, today, every political party which is out there has been.
I'll come to agriculture in 1 minute. Let me just say that there is a serious myopia within our political parties and political leadership, so that those, for instance, PTI leaders who are bemoaning military's involvement in politics today were very happy with military's involvement in politics 2014 to 2018, you know. And those who were talking about, you know, lamenting military's involvement in politics between 2014 and 2018 just have, you know, switched sides. So politicians really live in a very myopic world, and I think that we need to have leadership that can at least think through beyond one election cycle.
Yeah, I think we know that.
So no, we know that.
We know that, but we're reimagining Pakistan
Yes,
here.
so we're reimagining Pakistan, and in reimagining Pakistan, we need to come up with some basic rules, which is a constitution, where these, you know, where the rules of the game think beyond one election cycle. Now, coming to your agriculture question, Pakistan has less productivity, whether it comes to wheat, when it comes to cotton, when it comes to rice, except for maize, compared to India. We produce about 10 to 15% less per hectare of all of those crops compared to India, and maybe 20% less than China. So we need to rethink the way we do agriculture. In some cases, we need to improve the quality of our seeds in GMO. We need to rethink subsidies. For instance, if you want to subsidize farmers and small farmers, it's better just to subsidize them directly rather than giving money to large fertilizer conglomerates and then request them that, please, because we are giving you gas for $1, which is international market price is $10, and which in Pakistan's price is about $10. So we will give you $10 gas for only $1. But once you get a $1 gas, please sell, please sell fertilizer cheaper to farmers.
If I may interrupt here, let's talk about the large sweep of things, because I think people here want to hear what your program will be to reimagine Pakistan.
Nothing is more important.
But listen,
actually,
if I may ask you, wouldn't it be more effective to put pressure on landowners who don't do corporate farming to either shape up or ship out? For instance, government policies that put pressure on them via taxes, etc., so that they realize that either they do corporate farming and they make the money that they're supposed to make out of the land, or then they sell it and move on and leave it to people who can till it better.
No. Actually,
Why do you mollycoddle the landowning class, Miftah?
So we'll have to step back a little bit, and a little economics 101 now will come into. My belief is that if a landowner tries to maximize profits from his land, there are obviously some agency issues, principal agency issues, that a sharecropper, for instance, will not put in as much effort. But one of the myths, and a wrong, incorrect myth, is that we need large farms, corporate farming for farms to become efficient. That is not true. What we've seen in Taiwan, what we've seen in Japan, what we've seen especially in China, is that even small farms where owners are directly tilling the land can be very efficient, and you can always have other companies spring up that provide services to small farms, like tractor companies and stuff like that. So I don't think we need to worry about the structure. We need to do two things. We need to have a fixed tax on land, farmland, every year that the provinces should collect. And in order for provinces to collect taxes from farm, and meaningful amount of taxes from farmland, they need to get less money from the federation. That's the one thing. Then the subsidies, if and when subsidies are required to be given to farmers, they should be given to farmers and not to other input providers. Like, you don't give subsidies to fertilizer companies to give subsidies to farmers, you give direct subsidies to farmers. The government needs to bring in and spend money on better seeds and spend money on better research for seeds. These are the three things, and then the market figures this out.
So you have a comprehensive policy on how you're going to better agriculture in this country to reimagine
Just
Pakistan.
add one
Yes,
thing.
yes.
I'm not a farmer, but if you look at the numbers, and what I think Miftah is also saying is that you have to make it a more market-based system. This farming of support pricing, where you control the input cost but do not control the production cost, the output cost. This is very strange. I don't think there's anybody in the world doing this.
Yeah.
Where you
Except us.
control the cost, you give a support price for the wheat, but then you don't control what the atta will cost. You control the price of sugarcane, but you don't control what the chini will cost. So there's a serious disconnect here which needs to be fixed. So you have to go to a more market-based system, and
And stop pandering to the interest classes.
and the cost of the commodities in the retail market today allows you that. We used to be substantially below international prices. Now we are above international prices in almost all our basic commodities. And there is a success story also, where the government does not come in, which is maize. So learn from maize. What happened to maize? How did maize become profitable and efficient and without government interference?
So you'll make the policies, but when you come to implement them, the bureaucracy is directly inherited from the colonial state that we were supposed to have got rid of in 1947. The district commissioners, etc., I've been a victim of all of that, so I know, as you know, as Miftah knows. And right up the line, right up and down the line, they behave like colonial masters. How are they going to implement these policies? What are you going to do about the bureaucracy, which is the main vehicle for the implementation of your policies?
That's why I initially said you need a massive fix. You need to fix the basics. I just met, some very talented young women and men from the 51st Common. They're here in the audience. And they're also worried about, we take these very talented people, the cream of our young people, and we convert them into pencil-pushing, very mediocre professionals, trying to protect a system which is outdated, which needs massive reform. So this fix has to start here. The whole bureaucratic system has to change. You cannot tinker with it anymore. It needs massive reform. I ask everybody, what is a federal officer doing at the Tehsil level? In the Mari Tehsil, the AC is a federal officer, the police officer is a federal officer. What are they doing there? Then, when they come to the federal government, where they have to deliver policy, they have to take decisions every decision worth a few $100 billion, they are not trained for that. They've never had the experience of working in the federal government. So there's a very serious issue with how we manage the bureaucracy.
And then, if I may add here, Miftah, having been at the receiving end, you know this as well, and I'm sure the audience is aware of this. There's so much corruption up and down the line, Shahid. So much corruption that every person is a stakeholder, right up and down the line. I have seen in my last 5 years as an independent member of parliament, postings and transfers being sold for millions of rupees. And then I've seen those officials really kind of खाल उधेड़ लेते हैं गरीब की फिर in order to pay for their postings and transfers. And then, you know, and they're so blatant about it. You ask somebody, आप SHO को पूछें कि आपने ये झूठी FIR क्यों काटी है किसी गरीब आदमी पे? और नहीं जी तुसी ओनू कला दे हो ते असी ओ खारिज करा देंगे. अच्छा, so if you are standing there with a stick in your hand, then you ensure कि उस गरीब आदमी की खाल नहीं उधेड़ेंगे. And if you look the other way, Shahid, they'll get 50,000 rupees off the poor man and kharij karo de. And the minute you say to the SHO, भैया इस गरीब कोलों पैसे क्यों लेने तू? और जब तुसी पता नहीं किस दुनिया च रहंदे हो, मैं तो उत्ते देने ने, अद्धे मैं उत्ते देने ने. DSP नु पूछो, ओ जी अद्धे मैं उत्ते देने ने. DPO नु पूछो, अद्धे मैं उत्ते देने ने. Right up to the IGP, for God's sake. I've seen all this happening, Shahid, and the DC is like a lat sahab in a district. How are you going to reform this system?
Local government. One answer, one word answer. I mean, seriously.
Okay, what's the one word answer?
I mean, local government is the only answer to that. An empowered local government, elected empowered local government. There is no reason why a federal government employee or a provincial government employee should be doing these things. This is, the service providing level of the government, the suffering providing part of the government is local governments, which should provide health, education, etc., etc. That's now become, you know, a tool for political influence. So you have, first you used to have, before the concurrent list was disbanded, a federation controlled from Islamabad, and now you have 4 power centers in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and, Karachi, Lahore, Quetta, and Peshawar. And unless and until you take power to the local level so that Thanedar, SHO, वगैरह, their bosses are the mayors of those small towns and tehsils and districts, and they have to go in elections.
How many times have we heard this before? I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were part of a government that did away with a perfectly sound local bodies government system that General Musharraf had set up. That's the one good thing he did. You people came to power, and then you did away with it. What's the explanation for that? You're talking about empowering people at the local level. Absolutely, everywhere in the world, facilities and services are provided by people at the grassroots, in the local governments and by local authorities. Not in Pakistan. Even in India, you have a Panchayat Raj. But you have a functional local body system. In the 2000s, in the first decade, it works very well. Zila Nazims, district Nazims, etc. सब आप लोग आए हुकूमत में, आपने उसकी छुट्टी करा दी. फिर आप कह रहे हैं कि हम बनाएंगे आके.
जवाब दें सर,
आप जवाब दें जी.
No. You need a bigger fix. Let's talk about the Musharraf local body system. You are creating fiefdoms in this country. People were leaving their MNA elections, their MP elections to become Nazims. Why? Because of corruption. The authority and the corruption. People were having one guy, one person of the family as a politician, the other one as a Nazim, the third one as an officer in the same district.
सर इस बार 4 खोकर PMLN से और 2 खोकर PTI से लाहौर से इलेक्शन लड़
तो
रहे हैं.
और कोई जीते ना जीते, खोकर जीत जाएंगे.
खोकर जीत जाएंगे.
मैं आपसे ये कह रहा हूँ कि देखें, you cannot tinker with the system anymore. You need a completely new system. I'm a big proponent of new provinces. These provinces are not manageable. They have failed. But we have a lot of sensitivities about provinces. Why? Can somebody explain that to me? This system is not working. Miftah loves to talk about local bodies. There's a natural conflict between the MNA, MPA, and the local body guy. Because it's a politics of patronage. It's the same resources. Either I will use them or he will use them.
Right,
I
Shahid?
have authority
You
over them.
know, you've been Prime Minister. Sorry to interrupt you. Who dispenses this patronage? It is a policy of every government, whether it's federal or it's provincial, to dole out development contracts to their MNAs and MPAs. What business, I ask you, do MNAs and MPAs have in deciding and doling out development contracts for their constituencies? They should be legislating.
Can I just say this?
और हर government ये करती है.
देखें, the fact is, जुगनू, कि अगर आप अपने इलाके के फार्मर्स के लिए इंटरसीड कर रही थी SHO से, दैट मीन्स कि इलेक्टेड लोगों को ज़्यादा फिक्र होती है क्योंकि उनके वोट्स उनको चाहिए होते हैं। ये मेरे ख्याल से गलती थी परवेज़ मुशर्रफ का सिस्टम ख़त्म करने के लिए। एक सिस्टम में अगर कोई ख़राबी थी तो उसको थोड़ा सा आगे पीछे ज़रूर कर सकते थे, लेकिन उसको कम्प्लीटली डिसपेंड कर और वापस से वही जो पावर MNAs और MPAs को दे दिया है, ब्यूरोक्रेसी को दे दिया है, वो गलती थी। क्योंकि वो पावर आपने उस सिस्टम के लिए दूसरा सिस्टम नहीं लेके आया, आपने तो पावर जम कर लिया अपने 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 पावर्स में। तो दिस इज़ अ मिस्टेक, मेरे ख्याल से 100% मिस्टेक कि आप लोकल बॉडीज़ को आपने ख़त्म कर दिया है। पाकिस्तान के अंदर अगर आज, and I will repeat these statistics, I always do what I need to, अगर 78% 10 साल के बच्चे 2 जुमले किसी ज़बान में नहीं पढ़ सकते और अगर 58% बच्चे वेस्टेड या स्टंटेड हैं, तो जाहिर है कि हमारी सिमत सही नहीं है, जाहिर है कि हम जो कर रहे हैं वो गलत कर रहे हैं। कोई जाहिल मुल्क जो है वो अमीर नहीं हो सकता। ये नहीं हो सकता पाकिस्तान की पूरी कौम जाहिल रहे और हम पाकिस्तान तरक्की हो जाए, ये हो नहीं सकता। पाकिस्तान के अंदर अगर आपने तालीम देनी है और अगर आपने सेहत देनी है तो आपको लोकल गवर्नमेंट को एम्पावर करना होगा। कोई सिस्टम हो, इम्परफेक्ट सिस्टम ही होगा, ह्यूमन बना हुआ सिस्टम इम्परफेक्ट ही होगा, लेकिन किसी सिस्टम से स्टार्ट करना होगा और पावर को नीचे तक डिवॉल्व करना होगा। अगर आप पावर्स को नीचे नहीं डिवॉल्व करेंगे तो फिर यही होगा जो आप कह रही हैं कि जो MNA है, MPA, वो अपनी स्कीम्स करता है, जो भी उसके अंदर जो स्कीम्स करता है। और इसमें आखिरी बता दूं कि बलूचिस्तान में 2013 के बाद 3000 स्कूलें बनी हैं, 2700 स्कूलें उसमें खाली पड़ी हुई हैं। वो MPA और MNAs की स्कीमों में स्कूलें बनी हैं, 3000 स्कूलों में से 2700 स्कूलें खाली पड़ी हैं इस मुल्क में, जहाँ पे 2 करोड़ 80 लाख बच्चा, 2 में से 1 बच्चा स्कूल में नहीं।
अच्छा, तो आवे का आवा ही बिगड़ा हुआ है ना शाहिद,
अब देखिए,
आवे का आवा ही बिगड़ा हुआ है। आप
इसीलिए-
लोग जब असेंबली में बैठते हैं, जब हुकूमतों का हिस्सा होते हैं, तो आप क्यों नहीं इसके बारे में कुछ बात करते कि नहीं, इनको फंडिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए, MNAs और MPAs को फंड्स नहीं देने चाहिए?
वो एक कलेक्टिव सोच है कि हमें भी सियासत करनी है, पैटर्नेज करनी है, ये आप मत दें।
और 30% उसके ऊपर कमीशन खानी है ताकि हम इलेक्शन के ऊपर पैसे लगाएं और फिर हम और पैसे बनाएं।
आप उसको खत्म
vicious
कर दें,
circle.
आप उसको खत्म कर दें, और ये खत्म जो होगा, जिस तरह हम प्राइम मिनिस्टर, वी टॉक अबाउट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज नॉट अ monarch, he does not have absolute powers. I have attended meetings for years and decades now where the PM or the CM is talking absolute nonsense, and the bureaucrats sitting there, federal secretaries, provincial secretaries, they take it as the absolute gospel and they start implementing it. And when you leave the room and you ask them, यार ये तो बिल्कुल गलत है, होगा ही नहीं, कहते हमें भी पता नहीं होगा, लेकिन अब साहब का हुक्म आ गया। This system has to change. ये आप तो MNA MPA के बिल्कुल मत दें, फंड मत दें, पर किसी को मत दें। Then have a system of spending, of developing the province. It can't be that Jugnu Mohsen goes to the this chief minister and she gets 20 roads in her constituency, and Miftah Sahab gets nothing. So he'll be running around trying to get his 20 roads also. So there has to be a system of how you develop something. Today the system is of pure patronage. ये ले जी, आप पैसा ले लें।
Yeah, it's all patronage.
I must say the money is not given to anybody. They're not given contracts. They just identify schemes. But most of them are
Well,
not
I mean,
efficiently
effectively, and the public should know this, they are getting the contracts. They are getting the contracts. 1 अरब रुपया आप एक MNA को देते हैं 1 साल का, या एक MPA को देते हैं 1 साल का, वो सारे contracts, वो सारे जो काम वहाँ डेवलपमेंट के होते हैं, वो खुद आइडेंटिफाई करता है। उसके बाद वो अपने ठेकेदार जो हैं, जिनसे वो काम करवाता है, उनके साथ बंद कमरे में बैठ के डील करता है कि इतने % कमीशन मैं लूंगा। शाहिद, जस्ट अ सेकंड, ऐसे लोग हैं नहीं, ये ज्यादातर MPAs और MNAs इसी तरह हैं, आपकी तरह के या इनकी तरह के। आई वाउच फॉर माई सेल्फ, मेरी तरह के चंद लोग होंगे जो ओपन टेंडरिंग करवाते हैं कंट्रैक्टर्स से, बाकी सब बंद कमरे में बैठ के। और आज आप किनके टिकट होल्डर्स को देखें, दोनों पार्टीज के, बहुत ही कम उनमें से लोग होंगे जिन्होंने ये काम नहीं किया, जिन्होंने ओपन टेंडरिंग करवा के, सेविंग करवा के पब्लिक का जो पैसा है वो बार बार जाया नहीं किया। इसको आप लोग छेड़ते ही नहीं है सिस्टम।
मैं फिर कहता हूँ, और we are the only country in the world which has a dedicated body to probe corruption by public office holders.
Wow.
What has that body delivered?
What has that body delivered?
That body itself is the most corrupt body in Pakistan today.
Exactly.
I mean, we are just fooling ourselves. आपने करप्शन पकड़नी है, करप्शन पकड़ना बड़ा आसान है, टैक्स लॉ से पकड़ें। आप पैसा बना सकते हैं, पैसा छुपेगा नहीं।
अच्छा चले,
कंजम्पशन में नजर आएगा,
चले,
हमने करना नहीं है।
ये आप रीइमेजिन एक ही हिस्सा आपका है ना कि टैक्स
use the tax, make everybody who has a शनाख्ती कार्ड into a potential taxpayer।
तो एफबीआर की रिफॉर्म के बारे में बात करेंगे।
एफबीआर का रिफॉर्म है, एफबीआर को निकालना इस निजाम से।
अच्छा चलें, ये एक रीइमेजिनेशन तो ये हो गई। दूसरी बात, the elephant in the room, like that the unaccountable institution that we talked about earlier, we dare not use the name, but however, the other elephant in the room, Shahid,
manage that relationship. It has taken decades to get there. You have to get it back. It'll take time. It's a process. But manage that relationship can be managed.
Let me talk about the other elephant in the room. The other elephant in the room is your rampaging population and your abysmal economic growth. Seen together, Miftah, it's a horror story. Nobody can talk about population growth. Let me tell you, even in the constituencies in the rural areas, when I go to my constituency and I say, after every meeting that I have, I hold up my hands and I say, एक बुढ़ी दे उन्ने ही बच्चे होने चाहिए ने जिन्ने उनदे हाथ ने. And everybody turns around to me and says, why do you say these things? This will cost us votes. And I say to them, you cannot afford these children that you are producing. You can't give them food, you can't give them education, you can't give them health. And they say, "Eh galla na kita karo. Do hathan de vich 10 ungla hundiyan ne." So it's a joke. It's a joke. How are you going to address this? आप बात करने की कोशिश करें. After the Ayub Khan decade, as far as I can recall, there's been no effective population planning program. You've been at the apex of power, both of you. किसी ने बात की इसके बारे में?
जब मैं इसका जवाब देता हूँ,
जरूर।
पहले मैं एक बात तो ये कहूँगा, देखें हमारी रीइमेजिनिंग पाकिस्तान कितनी डिफरेंट है आम पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज से, कि शाहिद भाई वाज sort of thought that ये नाजिम का जो प्रोग्राम था लोकल गवर्नमेंट का, उसको सही बाइंड किया, और मैं उनसे डिसएग्री करता हूँ, और हम ओपनली डिसएग्री कर सकते हैं. ये किसी सियासी पार्टी में नहीं होता है. मैं रहा हूँ सियासी पार्टी में तो मुझे पता है. सो ये एक आपको बता रहा हूँ कि जब आपने डिबेट करनी है तो अपने अपने आइडियाज़ से डिबेट करें, इसमें कोई बुरी बात नहीं होती है. नाउ कमिंग टू योर पॉइंट, देखिए पाकिस्तान में 2.6% से पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रही है. पाकिस्तान की 24 पॉपुलेशन है, तो तकरीबन 60 से 65 लाख लोगों से हमारी आबादी बढ़ती है. इसका मतलब ये है कि 80 लाख बच्चे पैदा होते हैं साल में. 80 लाख बच्चे, 80 लाख बच्चे अगर आज पैदा हो रहे हैं, और 2 करोड़ 80 लाख बच्चे ऑलरेडी आउट ऑफ स्कूल हैं, तो आपके पास स्कूलों में जगह नहीं है, राइट? 80 लाख ये जो बच्चे आज पैदा हो रहे हैं, 5 साल बाद इनको कहीं स्कूल में डालना होगा. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर 40 बच्चों पे भी एक क्लासरूम है, तो आपको 2 लाख क्लासरूम चाहिए, यानी कि 3 क्लासरूम का स्कूल है तो 60,000 स्कूल चाहिए 5 साल बाद नए, और आपको 2 लाख नए टीचर्स चाहिए, जिसके वसाइल नहीं है. तो जाहिर है कि ये जो आज 80 लाख बच्चा पैदा हुआ है, इसमें से भी 30, 35, 40 लाख बच्चा कभी स्कूल का मुंह नहीं देखेगा. सो आप अगर हर साल 80 लाख बच्चे पैदा कर रहे हैं और आपके पास वसाइल ही नहीं है उसके, तो आप किधर जाएंगे?
तो आप उसके बारे में क्या करेंगे?
तो उसके लिए, और मैं इस पे डिसएग्री करता हूँ. देखें बहुत सारे इस्लामी ममालिक हैं, बांग्लादेश है, इजिप्ट है,
ईरान है,
जॉर्डन है, ईरान है, इन सब में भी पॉपुलेशन प्लानिंग की बात हुई है और पॉपुलेशन प्लानिंग किया है. पाकिस्तानी औरत जो है एन एवरेज इज ट्वाइस एज फर्टाइल एज अ बांग्लादेशी वुमेन. तो बांग्लादेशी ख़वातीन भी मुसलमान हैं. तो ये कोई बात नहीं है कि इस्लाम की वजह से हम पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. बिल्कुल हम कर सकते हैं, हमें डायलॉग करना चाहिए. लेकिन अगर आज आप पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल करने जाएंगे तो 2-3 साल बाद उसका जो है वो पहला इफेक्ट आना शुरू होगा, और 10 साल बाद उसका समर मिलेगा. वो ऑब्वियसली टाइम होराइजन से ज़्यादा है, तो कोई सियासत
You have a plan, right?
ठीक है. देखें मेरी बात सुने. आई मीन right now, for instance, I mean we can't even import essential contraceptive devices from cheaper India, for instance. So there are issues, but I think that the government of Pakistan has to understand that this has to be number one policy. if you're spending less money on TV advertisement than I do or selling Kokomo, then obviously population planning is not going to work. So you need to work on that. You need to provide clinics. You need to provide, all sorts of family planning clinics at village level. You need to have lady health workers. You need to empower women. It turns out कि अगर किसी खातून ने 6ठी जमात पढ़ ली हो, पहली 2, 3, 4 पे कोई कोरिलेशन नहीं आता, लेकिन 6ठी जमात अगर उसने पढ़ ली है, तो उसके बाद उसके जो लाइफ टाइम बच्चे होंगे वो कम हो जाते हैं और वो चांसेस उसका आउटसाइड द हाउस वर्क करना ज़्यादा हो जाता है. आज अगर बांग्लादेश ने ज़्यादा एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है इतना, तो 80% उनकी जो गारमेंट वर्कर्स होती हैं वो खवातीन होती हैं. दे वर्क आउटसाइड द होम, दे हैव फ्यूअर चिल्ड्रन, दे आर मोर एजुकेटेड. एन एवरेज बंगाली टुडे लिव्स 5 years longer than you guys do, and 3 years longer, is more educated 3 years than all of us are. So the thing is that हम कहाँ गलत जा रहे हैं, हम बहुत जगहों पे गलत जा रहे हैं, लेकिन nothing is more important than population planning and educating our
Right,
workforce.
but for that, as you've just said, you need to have a comprehensive dialogue with the religious classes, with the clerics, and with the military that has a relationship with the clerics and the religious classes. That's pretty clear. And without that, no, sorry, without that, without, I'm sorry, but without a consensus on this, okay, you can have an effective population planning program on television, on all media. You can't do it.
But देखिए, Pakistan in the 60s and 70s had a model
Yes.
population program.
Yes.
Model for the world.
But that was all rolled back during the Zia years. And we know why that happened. Because he was pandering to the religious lobby. So don't say there's no disconnect. There is a connect there. I'll move on, Shahid, to the next question.
Tell one anecdote
no,
on this?
Sorry.
Chalo nahi.
Just a second. You can do the anecdote later. I do.
So now I need to. So Shahid Bhai and I and Mustafa Nawaz were in Quetta for a reimagining seminar. And the guy gets up and says, sir, मेरे 30,000 रुपए तनख्वाह है, मेरे 10 बच्चे हैं, मैं कहाँ से पूरा करूँ बताएं. तो मैंने शाहिद भाई को बोला मुझे जवाब देने. तो बोलता क्या बोलेगा. मैंने कहा उन्होंने कहा यार 4 पे रुक जाता भाई. शाहिद भाई ने कहा नहीं बैठ जा.
There you go. So related to that is the question of education. And I'll put that to you, Shahid. What is the role of secular education in Pakistan, in your plan? And I'm using that word deliberately here because that is by that I mean the level of education that is internationally acceptable and makes us globally competitive, as are the Indians and the Bangladeshis. What is the role of that kind of education in your reimagination?
It's a very basic question. Today we have 5 systems of education. We've allowed 5 systems of education in the country. Our own system, which is the FSC and the metric and the FSC system, in my opinion, the quality has become very, very low. It is failing. And every government that comes around, they concentrate on creating a curriculum. I personally do not agree with that. I think we need to fix the examination system. We need to fix what we test people on, how do we test them? Because then the curriculum will gravitate towards following the examination system. That is where we are failing. Your boards are completely useless. They do not test anything. They just test what you can remember. So we need to fix that. That's our basic system. Then we allow the American system, we allow the international IB, we allow the O-level, A-level, we have the madrasa system. You can't ban any of them, but you need to regulate them to improve quality. And again, the quality will be improved when you gravitate towards, create an examination system which tests the skills needed in today's world. That is what we need to do.
Without the empowerment of women, you've just spoken about the example of Bangladesh. Without the empowerment of women, no country can take off, as we've seen. How do you intend to do that, Miftah?
I think दो ही चीज़ें हम कर सकते हैं. To be very honest with you, that the government can do. I mean, the cultural change के अंदर, I don't think the government has any business trying to affect cultural change in a wholesale manner. One, education. कि education आप ख़वातीन को ज़्यादा दें, और number 2, reduce the number of children born per woman. अगर आप पॉपुलेशन प्लानिंग करेंगे और एजुकेशन करेंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली ये होगा ही जब वुमेन एम्पावर्ड हो जाएगी। जब तक ये नहीं कर सकेंगे तो आप नहीं मतलब आप सीरियसली वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट नहीं होगी तो आप आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते। ये सिर्फ कहने की बात नहीं है, ये क्लीशे नहीं है, ये बात सच है और उसके लिए तालीम देना ज़रूरी है और फ्यूअर किड्स। एंड इसके अलावा आई डोंट रियली नो व्हाट एल्स कैन बी डन टू एम्पावर वुमेन other than, like I said, education and population planning.
The women of this country have empowered themselves. They've excelled. The men are lagging behind. You go to any medical college, look at their intake.
Wherever they have opportunity, Shahid.
Yeah, so
But the
that's our
vast
job.
majority
That's our
is
job.
deprived of
We
the
have to
opportunity.
provide them the opportunities. They've taken care of all the other issues. You have to provide the opportunities and they'll come with economic growth. I go to this petrol pump to fill my car. So I told the guy, I met the owner one day and I said, why don't you hire female employees? So we hired 2 female employees who put in gas into the car. The quality of service delivery at that pump went up 10 times. 10 times better. The people were better groomed, all the other employees became better groomed, they were more communicative, they were more courteous. So the women, we just have to provide them the opportunity. The rest, they've taken care of.
Well,
themselves.
that's a very broad sweep. Provide them opportunity, etc. Khair, when you put out your manifesto, when you launch your new political party, Shahid, which I believe is on the way.
Manifestos are all the same.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
can use any
but
party.
if you want to reimagine it, then we need to know what the small print is. So we're talking in a broad sweep here, and that's what the way we should be talking here. But we will need more concrete proposals on how you intend to empower women. You spoke very interestingly of more provinces. You said that nationalisms and well, I assume you mean that the country will be more governable if there are more provinces. And do you imagine that these nationalists and sub-nationalists, nationalist fires that are blazing at the periphery will also be doused via that, or will they increase?
No, they'll all be doused. If you look at Pakistan today, something happens in Punjab, the whole of Pakistan shuts down. They're waiting for Punjab to stabilize. The whole political system shuts down. Punjab dominates the National Assembly. The election of Pakistan effectively today is in the Punjab. You win Punjab, you made it in the center. So, I think in my opinion, if you ask me, there can be many views on this. The 34 divisions, 34 or so divisions
Should
that
be
the British
provinces,
created,
yeah.
those should be made provinces. That will take care of the local government issue that Miftah wants. It will take care of governance at the local level.
How will you convince the Baloch and the Pashtuns and the Sindhis
Again,
to let go
create
of their
a-
national identities?
Create a dialogue. Why? Nobody is taking away national identity. Let's take.
It could be imagined as such
No,
in those
That's why
provinces.
you need a dialogue. That's why you have the Senate. That's why you have the National Assembly. Talk about these issues. These provinces are not working today. Is KP working? Is Balochistan working? Is Punjab working? Is Sindh working? If something is not working and you're not able to fix it in 50 odd years, it will not fix itself.
Okay, so then you expect these current stakeholders who are all invested in the provinces as they are, in the system as it is, to sit down and revolutionize it in terms of, sort of cutting down on the very thing, on the very platform on which they're standing. ये 38 provinces अगर बन गए ना, तो इन्हीं stakeholders का power आप मुझे बताएं, decimate नहीं हो जाएगा?
ठीक है,
तो वो
होगा
खुद
ना।
खुद
देखिए-
करेंगे
देखिए,
अपने आप को।
You create a dialogue at least. We are shy of creating a dialogue.
I mean, I'm just saying this.
Did the FATA amalgamation happen or not happen?
It did happen. The
Against the
18th
wishes of
Amendment had,
everybody.
the 18th Amendment also happened. So I'm not saying that these things are not possible, but I'm just asking you to be realistic and tell me how you imagine this is going to take place, because we know we need.
It won't happen tomorrow, but start the dialogue today. Let's start talking. Let's look at the pros and cons. You need a fix. This is not working. This system is not working.
Okay, so am I right in concluding, Miftah, that you are going to continue the process of reimagining Pakistan as you've done in your seminars and in your programs, etc., possibly launch a political party, possibly put out a manifesto that addresses these issues and thereby bring pressure to bear from the outside with civil society on the stakeholders who are supposed to have this grand dialogue? Is that what's proposed? Is that what you're thinking?
That's the purpose. That's why we had Reimaging Pakistan, to talk about issues, to look at solutions. So if it gravitates into a political party at some point in time, that's the purpose also.
Okay, now I just want to know how much time we have. We're ahead of time. Last question then. Very last question. Gentlemen, you've both been at the very heart of the power equation over the last many years. Shahid, you in your case, many years. And in Miftah's case, some years, right? Both of you. उस वक्त आपने ये काम नहीं किए तो will you, if you get the opportunity, आप कैसे करेंगे?
देखिए, because we have the experience, we know the issues, we know the fixes. I have spent 35 years in politics. Of those 35 years, more than 25 years were in opposition. That's where you learn. So we know the issues, we know the problems. You have to work within the party structure to solve problems. And you need to create a dialogue. So that will happen, that's what we intend to do. Again, the system that you have today, I don't see any political party gaining a majority in the foreseeable future in Pakistan. It's too fragmented. So, which is actually a good thing. I actually am a big believer in coalition governments because, of course,
Well, 38 provinces is a fragmentation, and if opinion is fragmented also, surely it's a good thing because it's a very large, vast cacophony,
a
a collective wisdom, and
wisdom,
yeah. So, okay, so you're saying that if you get the opportunity again, you'll be freer men than you were in the dispensations in which you were ministers. Is that right, Miftah?
The opportunity is not only in being in power, in government. You can do it in the opposition. You can do it outside the parliament. Because if you talk sense, and nobody is talking sense in this country today, that's the problem. Nobody understands the sense of urgency. Nobody is pushed. So if we are able to even nudge them into that direction, I think that's a success.
Shahid, we'll stop at this, but I just want to say as a kind of small student of history, people have tried since 1947. The Awami League tried, the Azad Pakistan people, the Azad Pakistan Party tried, the nationalists tried, the progressives tried, the left tried, people in the People's Party tried. We've come to this. We have come to this. So last word. Why should we people, me sitting here, the audience sitting there, why should we have hope? Why should we have concrete hope? I'm not talking about hope that we have in our heads because we need to survive. But what is the real reason for having hope? Last word.
No, I'll have Shahid Bhai do the last word. I'll just say this. Okay, if we don't try, what other option do we have? Do we just give up hope and sit? अगर हम ये समझते हैं कि 75 साल में पाकिस्तान ने अपनी गलत सिम पे चला गया है, अपनी राह खो गई है, आज हम पाकिस्तानियों को फेल कर रहे हैं, तो ये हम ही पाकिस्तानी है ना जिसको कुछ ना कुछ करना होगा. तो we will try. अगर फेल हो गए तो फेल हो गए, लेकिन कोशिश करना तो ज़रूरी है. तो अगर आप ये समझते हैं कि पाकिस्तान ठीक चल रहा है, तो बिस्मिल्लाह करिए, तो चलना दीजिए जिस तरह चलना. लेकिन अगर आप ये समझते हैं कि पाकिस्तान ठीक नहीं चल रहा, तो हमारा साथ दें.
Ji Shahid, last word.
There are serious challenges today. And like you said, I think the biggest threat today is the young people are losing hope.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is where political leadership comes in. It's the political leadership that provides hope, that provides for change. And that is what we're talking about here.
Well, very good luck to you both and to your other party members and in fact to civil society, to Pakistan. Thank you so much. Does the audience want to?
Thank you very much. I am really honored with an ex-Prime Minister and ex-Finance Minister sitting in the hall. Unfortunately, you people have been on the losing side. मेरा argument ये नहीं आप क्या करते रहे, क्या कर सकते थे. मेरा आर्गुमेंट ये है कि आप लोग एक्सपीरियंस करने के आने के बाद क्या हम थोड़े टाइम के लिए अमेरिका से माफ़ी नहीं मांग सकते, हमें ग्रो करने के लिए दिया जाए और उस ग्रोथ में हम प्रोग्रेसिव सोच लें। अभी भी तो बहुत सारा हिस्सा पाकिस्तान से बाहर मैनिपुलेट होता है। हम अब तो बातें बहुत खुल के आ रही हैं। अगर बात मुझे पता है इस पाकिस्तान में, तो आप तो मुझसे बहुत आगे हैं, जिनको सब हर तरह की लॉबिंग, हर तरह की चीज़ पता होती है।
सॉरी, क्या कह रहे हैं? अमेरिका से क्या हो?
अच्छा, मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि सर क्या हम फॉरेन इन्फ्लुएंसिंग जो हमारे मुल्क के अंदर, मेरी आवाज़ आपको आ जाएगी। मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि हम फॉरेन जो इन्फ्लुएंसेस है हमारे मुल्क के अंदर, उनसे मैनेज करके इस मुल्क को चलने नहीं दे सकते। अभी तक जितनी भी बातें हमें पिछले 5-7 सालों में पता लगी, हर चीज़ खुलती है। हमें बहुत सारी मेरे लेवल तक बहुत सारी बातें एक्सपोज होकर आती हैं। आप जिस पोजीशन पे हैं, हम कोई प्रोग्रेसिव बात नहीं बना सकते। आए दिन हम सुनते हैं, देखो टिक फलां जगह जा रहा है, पीआईए फलां जगह जा रही है, पाकिस्तान से यूथ छोड़ के जा रही है। तो आप लोग जो एक्सपीरियंस्ड हैं, मिस ने बड़ा अच्छा सवाल पूछा, सिफर होप है, मिस आपने बड़ी अच्छी कोशिश तो की वो बिल्ड करने की, लेकिन यू पीपल हैव बीन ऑन द लूजिंग साइड सर। व्हाई देयर इज अ पॉइंट कि आप लोग ऐसी कोई स्ट्रेटजी क्यों नहीं बनाते? सर ने बात कर दी 38, 4-5 सूबे चलते नहीं हमसे, हम 38 चला लेंगे, ठीक है। पॉइंट ये कि व्हाई देयर इज नॉट सच थिंग हैपनिंग। मैं ये नहीं पूछना चाहता कि आपने अपनी गवर्नमेंट में क्यों कुछ नहीं किया, नहीं किसी ने भी नहीं कहा, सब बाहर आके बात करते हैं। क्या हम इंटरनेशनल फोर्सेस से रिक्वेस्ट करके थोड़ी देर इस मुल्क को चलने देना चाह सकते हैं? कोई ऐसा रास्ता निकल सकता है? आप चाह रहे हैं कि मुल्क किसी और इंटरनेशनल मुल्क का चला है? अभी भी तो ऐसे नहीं है। आप मुझसे बेहतर जानते हैं। आई डोंट वांट टू कोट एनीथिंग, बात बहुत दूर चली जाएगी। अभी भी तो ऐसे ही है।
मेरे भाई, अगर आपका घर कमजोर होगा ना, फिर बाहर से लोग आएंगे। अपने घर को दुरुस्त करें, फिर आप दूसरों से बात कर सकते हैं। ये बाकी बात सब कहानियां
I
बहुत
think,
सुनी
can
है।
we move on to the next question, please?
सवाल आपका समझ गए, थैंक यू।
आपकी बात
आप
समझ आ
बिल्कुल
गई?
सही कह रहे हैं।
आपकी
आप
बात
बिल्कुल
समझ
सही
आई।
कह रहे हैं। May I just take the answer to the question? आपकी बात आपकी बात सही, आपका गुस्सा बजा। हमें सिर्फ जो जब शुरू किया था, याकूब बंगश ने इंट्रोडक्शन शुरू की थी, तो उन्होंने फरमाया था कि जिस जबान में चाहें बात कर सकते हैं, और उन्होंने क्योंकि सारी प्रेजेंटेशन अंग्रेजी में की, तो इसलिए हमने ये बात वहाँ से शुरू की, लेकिन बीच में हम अपनी ज़बान भी बोलते रहे, तो इसलिए ये बात हुई। लेकिन आप बिल्कुल सही फरमा रहे हैं। मैं भी एक दही इलाके से रहती हूँ, ताल्लुक़ रखती हूँ। आप बिल्कुल 100% सही बात कर रहे हैं। बहुत एक्सप्लॉइट होता है फार्मर, और इनके पास कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं है इसके लिए।
Ma'am, I have a question. Can I have a question?
जी
Here.
जी
Ma'am, as Pakistan is more populated than the Western and European states, except USA, so why the institutes, educational institutes in Pakistan are not as much as in Western states and European states? As Miss said, यहाँ तो खाल उतार लेते हैं फीसिस पे भी, और सब चीज़ जो भी मतलब लाइक आपकी फाइनेंस भी यहाँ कवर नहीं है ज़्यादा, और एजुकेशन जो है सिस्टम है वो भी इतना ज़्यादा लाइक कोई कोहेरेंट नहीं है. सो व्हाट डू यू से अबाउट दैट? और प्लस एक और चीज़, जो ब्रेन ड्रेन पाकिस्तान में इस वक्त चल रहा है, सब जो है जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो बाहर जा रहे हैं, डू यू हैव एनी पॉलिसी अबाउट दैट? थैंक यू.
सेकंड पार्ट मुझे समझ में आया, पहला पार्ट समझ में नहीं आया। वो जो भाई कर रहा है उसने आखिर में सही किया था, ऊंची आवाज से बोला था। तो पहला वाला पार्ट रिपीट कर देना, सेकंड वाला पार्ट जो आप पूछ रहे हैं, और आपके पीछे डॉक्टर परवेज हूद भाई बैठे हुए हैं, सो उनके सामने मैं तालीम की पॉलिसी के बारे में बात क्या करूँगा। लेकिन ये जो आप बात कर रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान से लोग बाहर जा रहे हैं पढ़ने के लिए, तो उसकी क्या पॉलिसी है? देखो भाई, मैं स्कूल की बात करता हूँ कि पिछले साल आका खान ने एक पाकिस्तान भर में सर्वे किया था 15,000 बच्चों का, तो पाकिस्तान में औसतन पाकिस्तान में बच्चा जो है वो 27 नंबर मैथ में लेता है और फेल होता है। ये पब्लिक और प्राइवेट स्कूल दोनों का देन लिया। पंजाब, केपी, बलूचिस्तान और सिंध चारों सूबों के अंदर ये तो, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह चारों सूबों में बच्चे फेल हो रहे हैं। कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि पंजाब के अंदर कोई बहुत ज़्यादा 2-4 नंबर ज़्यादा ले रहा है, लेकिन एवरेज पे फेल हो रहा है। 27 नंबर मैथ में लेता है पाकिस्तानी बच्चा एवरेज पे, और 31 नंबर साइंस पे लेता है, तो साइंस और मैथ दोनों फेल करता है। हम रट्टा लगाने को या रोड मेमोराइजेशन को तालीम समझते हैं, जिसके बाद फिर हम स्टूडेंट्स को भेजते हैं, तो हम इधर सही तालीम नहीं दे पा रहे। और इसकी ये एक हमारी फेलियर की वजह है। जब तक हम यहाँ पे तालीम अच्छी कर देंगे बेटा, तो कोई बाहर जाने की किसी को जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। जो मैं आपका सेकंड पार्ट समझा था, फर्स्ट पार्ट समझा ही नहीं।
जी दीप सैयदा, आप एक सवाल पूछना चाह रही हैं? बेटा खवातीन को भी इजाजत होनी चाहिए ना।
मेरा सवाल आप तीनों से है। मुझे ये लगा इस सारी प्रेजेंटेशन में कि पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप की काफ़ी बैशिंग की हमने इस सेशन में, तो मेरी नज़र में, मैं एक एक्टिविस्ट होने की नज़र से ये समझती हूँ कि हमारे मुल्क की पूरा कंट्रोल जो है वो फ़ौज करती है। ये पॉपुलेशन वाला जो मसला है, क्यों इसमें रिलीजियस क्लर्जी को इन्वॉल्व करने के लिए कि हमारी फ़ौज क्योंकि एक्सपर्ट है, वो एग्रीकल्चर, फार्मिंग और सारा कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो क्या हम उनसे दरख्वास्त कर सकते हैं कि क्लर्जी को कन्विंस करें कि पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल को हम किस तरह से प्रैक्टिकल बनाएं? थैंक यू।
जी बिल्कुल, इफ़ आई मे टेक दैट क्वेश्चन। दीप, आपके सामने ही है, मैंने भी बड़ी कोशिश की है कि वो जिसके बारे में बात नहीं कर सकते उसकी बात की जाए। मैंने इब्तदाई यहाँ से की, और मैंने इन दोनों साहिबान को कहा कि क्लाजी के साथ जो यहाँ के मुख्तदर इदारे हैं, जब तक उनके साथ वो सेटल नहीं करेंगे कि ये बहुत अहम मामला है और इसके ऊपर पेशरफ्त होनी चाहिए। दोवें बंदे कहते नहीं ऐसी कोई गल नहीं हैगी, तुसी की गल्लां पे करदे हो?
मैं ये कह रहा था
बंदे होए ना, फिर
देखिए आपने
बंदे होए ना, बंदे
फौज
जमने पैन बच्चे ते समझ आवे इन्हां नूं।
फौज आती है जब आप मौका देते हैं। सियासतदानों ने मौका दिया तो फौज आई है, अपनी कारकर्दगी को बेहतर करें। फौज नहीं आएगी तो अगर आप उनके हवाले पॉपुलेशन भी करना चाहते हैं तो फिर हम मजीद और फौज को दावत दे रहे हैं। ये दावत से बचे।
थैंक यू। मेरा ये
I think
one more question please.
जी, last question then please.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Just a second, let the lady speak. जी आप फरमाइए।
मेरी आपसे क्वेश्चन ये है, क्योंकि आपने पॉपुलेशन की भी बात की है, वी आर द 6th लार्जेस्ट यूथ पॉपुलेशन कंट्री। तो अब हमारी यूथ तो हो गई है, तो उसको एम्पावर करने के लिए आप क्या समझते हैं? आपने एजुकेशन की तो बात की है, और आपने ये भी बात की है कि आवे का आवा ही बिगड़ा हुआ है हर तरफ। तो स्किल एजुकेशन के लिए आप क्या समझते हैं कि स्किल एजुकेशन के लिए किस तरह की पॉलिसीज़ होनी चाहिए? वी डू हैव नेफ्टैग, वी डू हैव टेक्निकल ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स, बट बाहर जो और ब्रेन ट्रेन की भी बात हुई है, बाहर जो चीज़ों की जो स्किल रिक्वायर है, हमारी 1 मिलियन से ज़्यादा पॉपुलेशन ब्रेन ड्रेन की तरफ जा रही है, लेकिन वो जा रहे हैं जो कि वहाँ की पॉपुलेशन में एडजस्ट नहीं हो पा रहे, सो दैट वी आर नॉट गेटिंग द इनफ रेमिटेंस एज वेल। तो उसके लिए क्या पॉलिसी है?
I think we've got that, but we'll take the last question and then maybe both the questions can be addressed together. जी फरमाइए। Thank you, that's rhetorical. I think आप
मैं शुरू करता हूँ, मैं आपके सवाल पे भी आता हूँ। देखें अगेन, मैं जो शुरू मैंने पहली बात की थी ना, और जो मुस्तफा नवाज साहब खोकर की बात थी,
very briefly.
कि सेंट्रल डिलेमा पाकिस्तान का ये है कि आपने ये तय करना है कि मुल्क कौन चलाएगा, आपका मुख्तदर इदारा चलाएगा या लोग चलाएंगे। वीक वजीर आज़म जो है उसको बेसिकली इलेक्ट करा जाता है ना, लोग इलेक्ट करते हैं। सो आपने ये फैसला करना है कि कौन चलाएंगे, लोग चलाएंगे, चाहे वो सदारती निज़ाम हो, वज़ारत उज़्मा का निज़ाम हो, या जो भी निज़ाम हो, क्या लोग चलाएंगे या मुख्तदर इलाके वो चलाएगा? तो ये तो पहले हमने कहा था कि सबसे पहले, और जो शाहिद भाई बात करते हैं कि आइन तो जैसा भी हो कम अज़ कम उस पर अमल तो हो, तो उसका मतलब ही ये है ना। तो हम तो ये बात समझते हैं कि कि मुल्क के अंदर एक आर्मी का बहुत इन्फ्लुएंस है, इंग्रेस है, और वो पॉलिटिक्स के अंदर इंग्रेस नहीं होना चाहिए। जो हम सियासतदान को बहस कर रहे हैं वो ये कि 2 साल 4 साल पहले किसी का कुछ और नारा था कि आर्मी बहुत बुरी है, आर्मी के सियासत में नहीं होना चाहिए। आज वो आर्मी के लिए तालियां बजा रहे हैं जो बहुत, जिनके लिए 4 साल पहले हिस्ट्री ईजाद हुई है, कि जो 2018 से पहले तारीख ही नहीं थी, वो आज समझते हैं कि उनके साथ जुल्म हुआ है। वो MRD की मूवमेंट का 83 का भूल गए कि MRD के अंदर कितने लोगों को मारा गया
जी
था।
और 50-60 की दिहाई 70 की
जी भाई मुझे बात करने दो, थैंक
जी,
यू।
अब
तो
मेरा
वो
ख्याल है we
ये
should
ये
wind
सबको
down.
याद रखना चाहिए। तो सियासतदानों को इतना मायोपिक नहीं होना चाहिए। वो एक शेर है ना, वो वापस MQM वाले बोलते थे कि चिराग सबके बुझेंगे, हवा किसी की नहीं।
बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू सो मच, बड़ी मेहरबानी।